Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, namaskaram, namaskar, and vanakkam. Welcome to Bob's Radio 21.37 FM, and this is Bob with you. Dear listeners, once again, thank you for joining us on our Wellness Wednesdays, where we have lots of topics that we talk about, but we focus on health, wellness, nutrition, and everything that is good to hear. Well, we have a doctor with us today, and we are going to take some questions on air as well. So before we begin, let me tell you, this is going to be an interactive session where we're going to have all those wonderful questions coming in, and you can ask them, and we will pass it on to the doctor and try to get some answers today. But before we start, let's begin with a song. And the song goes like this. There's never been a moment I was not held inside your arms, and there's never been a day when you were not who you say you are. You're forever. It don't matter what I'm walking through, because no matter where I'm going, there's never been a moment that I was not loved by you.
You've been the rock, you've been the peace, always showing your good heart to me. My days are marked by grace, I don't deserve, no. You've been the price I can never pay. You've been the light that has led the way. No matter where I am, oh, I am sure there's never been a moment I was not held inside your arms. And there's never been a day when you were not who you say you are. You're forever, it don't matter what I'm walking through. 'Cause no matter where I'm going, there's never been a moment that I was not loved by you. Loved by you. So where could I go that I could wander from your side? And where could I run and never leave behind? Your all-consuming, heart-pursuing, grace-extending, never-ending love. Your love. And there's never been a moment, no. There's never been a moment I was not held inside your arms. And there's never been a day when you were not who you say you are. You're forever, it don't matter what I'm walking through. 'Cause no matter where I'm going, there's never been a moment that I was not loved. Oh, no matter where I'm going, there's never been a moment that I was not loved by you.
Wow, what a wonderful song that was, once again reminding of the love of God. Now, for those of us who are joining us for the first time, we broadcast every Monday to Thursday at 11:07 India time, 9:37 UAE, and 8:37 Bahrain, 6:37 UK time. It is such a joy to have all of you. For those of you who have joined on Facebook, thank you for tuning in, and we hope that you will be with us every day of the week. Now, like I said, we have Dr. John Abraham with us to talk to us about COVID, lockdown, and children's health. Now, those are the topics that we'll be talking about. There's a lot of impact that the lockdown has had on children's health. That is going to be our topic for today. For those of you who would like to send in the questions, please send us any question that you would have in connection with that, and we will talk about that as well. Now, I also have our health and nutrition expert, JC, with me. Hi, JC, how are you?
Doing great, Bob. Thank you.
Nice to have you on our Wellness Wednesday, and we have a lot to talk about on health and wellness. But before we go into all that, let's see what our kids have for us on our kids segment.
Bob's Radio 21.37, keep bobbing along.
Hello listeners, Welcome to the kids segment. This is Carly, Carlos, and Kathy with you.
Kathy and Kali, I had some steamed veggies for lunch today and it was delicious. I normally hate broccoli, but I don't know what my mother did to it. It tasted so good, I licked my plate clean.
Whoa! That is definitely unusual of you. But I'm glad you decided to be healthy by eating right. Do you remember the story of Daniel and his friends who rejected the king's food and remained healthy?
Yes, indeed. Though Daniel and his friends might have looked foolish in the sight of others, when they were found to be more healthy than others, I am sure Daniel and his friends would have been so glad God honored their choice.
That reminds me of a verse in the Bible, 1 Corinthians 6 verse 19, which says, "Do you not know that your bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit who is in you, whom you have received from God? You are not your own."
What does that verse mean, Kali?
We know it's important to spend time daily with God, reading our Bibles, praying, and serving God. But did you know that it's also important to take care of our physical health just like we do with our spiritual health? This amazing body is a gift from God, and He wants us to take care of our bodies while we live on this earth, because our body is also the temple of God. In simple words, it's garbage in, garbage out. If we eat junk, we'll become junk and useless. If we eat well, we will be in better shape and be fit and healthy.
Oh, I get it. Only if we have a healthy body and healthy mind can we serve God better. If we are unhealthy, we will not have the energy and drive to do God's work and serve Him.
You got it, Carlos. So the next time your mom puts veggies or fruits on your plate, remember the story of Daniel and how the choice they made helped them succeed in life. A healthy body is a healthy temple for the Holy Spirit to live inside us. So take care of your bodies and eat right.
This boss here, long.
Bye.
Bye, kids. Thank you for giving us that healthy advice. I think you're taking the tips from our RJJC and coming up with those wonderful segments. And I believe that those are important things that we need to talk about. Now let's go to our health and wellness and nutrition expert, RJJC. Hi, JC. How are you doing?
Doing good, Bob. First of all, let me just salute the kid RJs for licking clean their broccoli plates.
Absolutely. They love their broccolis now.
They're setting the bar for a lot of kids out there.
Yes, they are. Well, we have been talking about a lot of green and a lot of good and healthy food. And what's our topic for today?
Well, today we can talk about something raw.
Something raw. Right. Okay, now what foods do we classify as raw foods?
Well, basically from the name itself, it has to be unprocessed. So the food has to be unfrozen, unprocessed, and obviously we're talking about plant-based foods. And to be a little more technical, it would be foods that have not been exposed to temperatures above 115 to 118 degree Fahrenheit. So basically, we're just talking about foods that are closer to their natural form in nature. And there's the list is endless. Imagine a salad, right? Tomato, carrot, cucumber. There's cabbage, purple cabbage, white cabbage, capsicum, red, green, and yellow. There's cauliflower, there's beetroot. You can eat cauliflower raw, just grate it. It's called cauliflower rice. It's all the rage now on the net. There's raw corn, there's Brussels sprouts, sweet potato, brown sweet potato grated can be eaten raw. So there's this and of course leaves and sprouts. If I were to list the leaves out, there's a huge list. Kale, watercress, parsley, spring onion. So there's a beetroot can be eaten raw. There's a lot of vegetables that you can have raw. So it has to be, basically unprocessed and just, like the word says, raw.
Okay. And what are the health benefits, of eating raw?
Where should I start? The health benefit, low in calorie, obviously, right? You can't eat a very calorically dense raw food diet. Imagine how much cucumbers you have to eat to be equal to a small hamburger, because the calories are very low, and it's very high in nutrients and fiber. The enzymes and the fiber are intact in the food, and when you eat that kind of food, the body has to come up with a more complex range of enzymes to digest the food. It's like giving a better math problem to the children. If you're going to give basic addition and subtraction, they'll rise to that level. If you're going to give a more complex arithmetic, to the child, they're going to figure it out from their information. And that's what the body does. When you give raw food, it tries to figure out how am I going to digest this, and it comes up with a more complex solution, which leads to a greater gut biodiversity. And it's obviously low in fat. The fat is not saturated even if you put oil, even if you consider seeds and nuts, the fat is unsaturated. They are much more healthy. They are less likely, obviously, to lead to weight gain. And the raw food is so heart healthy because low cholesterol, low sodium, it's going to dilute the arterial plaque, which means it allows your heart to pump more efficiently. It's basically common sense, and it increases the efficiency of the blood flow. And obviously it's gluten-free. So for those of you who are, fixated on gluten and having celiac problems and gluten resistance, it's a gluten-free diet. It's easily digested in the sense that, like I said, it enhances the body's digestive system, and the food is very nutritionally dense, and the fibers are intact. So there's no bad to having a raw food diet. It is something that should be encouraged.
So how can we make it happen, in our everyday busy lives? What is the best way to make it happen?
Yeah, that's the important thing, because there is a difference between actually having information and bridging it and bringing it into our everyday lives. That's where a lot of people are failing. Everybody knows you have to eat your veggies and fruits. Like it's not new nirvana information. It's not the enlightenment of the 20th century. Everybody has always known. Hippocrates said, let food be thy medicinal, the father of modern medicine, and let medicine be. Everybody knows if you are going to fail on your diet, you are going to have health issues. So the problem is not that people don't know. The problem is that they just can't figure out a way to make it happen in their everyday lives. So one good thing we can do is, we can pick one day in a week, like we have Wellness Wednesday. We can have a salad Saturday, or any day in the week, just convenient to you. And then get the whole family involved to have a salad-only meal. So you can chop all the vegetables. By the way, salad, something is really good on the budget. Benefits of raw eating is low budget. We're not talking of very cheap, very expensive exotic foods. They're all cheap and readily available seasonal local vegetables. You chop them nicely, grate them, whatever fits you, whatever, floats your boat, and sprouts, and add some seeds and make a salad dressing. I wouldn't recommend the commercial salad dressings on the shelves because they are way high in sugar and oil. And you're probably much more better eating a hamburger than buying those salad dressings. They should not be eaten, because just read the ingredients and you can understand. So, make your own salad dressing. Garlic, ginger, onion, some dates, put it into a blender, put some spices, and then water or coconut water. Make your salad dressing and pour it over the salad and have it one day in a week. One meal.
That's yummy.
1 week.
That will taste yummy.
Yeah.
That's a nice combination. Wow, that's really new information, and I think that's the point. Many people, they really don't know how to incorporate raw food into their everyday life. So thank you so much for bringing that great tip to us, JC.
Thank you. My pleasure as always.
Yes, dear listeners, these are wonderful tips that we are receiving every Wednesday from our wellness expert RJJC, and I believe that this is going to be of great use and help to so many of you that are listening to us today. Well, next we have Sneha Sandesham from Bobby Thomas.
Bob's Radio 21.37, keep bobbing along.
സ്നേഹ സന്ദേശത്തിലേക്ക് എല്ലാവർക്കും വീണ്ടും സ്വാഗതം. 28 പേരോടുകൂടെ അന്റാർട്ടിക്കയിൽ പര്യടനം നടത്തുവാൻ ഇറങ്ങിത്തിരിച്ച വ്യക്തിയായിരുന്നു ഏണസ്റ്റ് ഷാക്കിൾട്ടൺ. ആദ്യമൊക്കെ യാത്ര ഗംഭീരമായിരുന്നെങ്കിലും മുൻപോട്ട് പോയപ്പോൾ അനേക പ്രശ്നങ്ങൾ മുൻപിൽ വന്നു. എലിഫന്റ് ദ്വീപിനടുത്ത് വെച്ച് കപ്പൽ മണ്ണിൽ ഉറച്ചുപോയി. എന്തിനും തയ്യാറായിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്ന 5 പേരെയും കൂട്ടി ഒരു ചെറിയ ബോട്ടിൽ ഏണസ്റ്റ് സഹായം തേടി യാത്ര തിരിച്ചു. വളരെ ക്ലേശകരമായിരുന്നു യാത്ര. എങ്കിലും 200 മൈൽ പിന്നിട്ടപ്പോൾ അവർ ഒരു സുരക്ഷാ സങ്കേതത്തിലെത്തി. അവിടെ നിന്ന് ഭക്ഷണവുമായി കൂട്ടുകാരുടെ അടുക്കലേക്ക് യാത്ര തിരിച്ചു. എന്നാൽ യാത്ര തികച്ചും പരാജയമായിരുന്നു. കാലാവസ്ഥ പൂർണ്ണമായും പ്രതികൂലം. എന്നാൽ പ്രതീക്ഷ കൈവിടാതെ അവർ കൂട്ടുകാരുടെ അടുക്കലേക്ക് പോകുവാൻ ശ്രമം നടത്തിക്കൊണ്ടിരുന്നു. വീണ്ടും വീണ്ടും ശ്രമിച്ചെങ്കിലും പരാജയപ്പെട്ടു. എങ്കിലും പ്രതീക്ഷയോടെ അവർ ശ്രമിച്ചുകൊണ്ടിരുന്നു. ഒടുവിൽ കാലാവസ്ഥ അനുകൂലമായി. തന്മൂലം അവർക്ക് തങ്ങളുടെ കൂട്ടുകാരുടെ അടുക്കൽ എത്തിച്ചേരുവാൻ സാധിച്ചു. പ്രിയരെ, പ്രതീക്ഷ കൈവിടാതെ അവർ മുൻപോട്ട് പോയിക്കൊണ്ടിരുന്നു. ജീവിതത്തിൽ ഒട്ടേറെ പ്രതീക്ഷകളുള്ളവരാണ് നാം എല്ലാവരും. എങ്കിലും ചില പ്രതീക്ഷകൾ പൂമണിയാതെ വരുമ്പോൾ എത്ര പെട്ടെന്നാണ് നാം നിരാശരാകുന്നത്. എന്നാൽ പലപ്പോഴും നാം ഓർമ്മിക്കാത്ത ഒരു വസ്തുതയുണ്ട്. ജീവിതത്തിലെ പ്രതീക്ഷകളിലേറിയ പങ്കും ഒരവസരത്തിൽ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ മറ്റൊരവസരത്തിൽ നിറവേറുന്നുണ്ട് എന്നത്. ഷാക്കിൾട്ടൻ തൻ്റെ കൂട്ടുകാർക്ക് സഹായം എത്തിക്കുവാൻ നടത്തിയ ആദ്യ ശ്രമങ്ങളൊക്കെ പരാജയപ്പെട്ടെങ്കിലും പ്രതീക്ഷ കൈവിടിയുവാൻ അദ്ദേഹം തയ്യാറായില്ല. പിന്നെയും ശ്രമിച്ചു. ഒടുവിൽ ശ്രമം ഫലം കണ്ടു. നമ്മുടെ പ്രതീക്ഷകൾ പ്രതിസന്ധികളിൽ തട്ടി തകർന്നു വീണേക്കാം. എന്നാൽ നിരാശയ്ക്ക് അടിമപ്പെട്ടാൽ ആ പ്രതീക്ഷ യഥാർത്ഥ പ്രതീക്ഷയാണോ? പ്രതീക്ഷയ്ക്ക് വകയുള്ളപ്പോൾ മാത്രമാണ് പ്രതീക്ഷയുള്ളതെങ്കിൽ നമ്മുടെ പ്രതീക്ഷ യഥാർത്ഥ പ്രതീക്ഷയല്ല. പ്രിയരെ, അനന്തമായ ശക്തിയുടെ ഉറവിടമായ ദൈവം എപ്പോഴും നമ്മെ സഹായിക്കുവാൻ തയ്യാറായി നിൽക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ പിന്നെ അസാധ്യമെന്ന് തോന്നുന്ന കാര്യങ്ങളിൽ പോലും ദൈവത്തിൽ പ്രതീക്ഷയർപ്പിക്കുവാൻ നമുക്ക് സാധിക്കണം. നമ്മുടെ പ്രതീക്ഷകൾ നമ്മിലാവരുത്, നമ്മുടെയോ മറ്റുള്ളവരുടെയോ കഴിവിലുമാകരുത്. ദൈവത്തിൻ്റെ അളവറ്റ സ്നേഹത്തിലും അനന്തമായ പരിപാലനത്തിലുമാണ് നമ്മുടെ പ്രതീക്ഷകളെങ്കിൽ അത് തീർച്ചയായും ഫലം കാണും. ദൈവത്തിൽ നമുക്ക് പൂർണ്ണമായും നമ്മെ തന്നെ സമർപ്പിക്കാം. നമ്മുടെ പ്രതീക്ഷകൾ എപ്പോഴും ദൈവത്തിൽ അർപ്പിക്കാം. സങ്കീർത്തനങ്ങൾ 33:22 യഹോവേ, ഞങ്ങൾ നിന്നിൽ പ്രത്യാശ വച്ചിരിക്കുന്നത് പോലെ നിന്റെ ദയ ഞങ്ങളുടെ മേൽ ഉണ്ടാകുമാറാകട്ടെ. ദൈവത്തിൽ പ്രിയരെ, നമുക്ക് പ്രതീക്ഷയും പ്രത്യാശയും വെച്ച് നമ്മുടെ ജീവിതം മുൻപോട്ട് കൊണ്ടുപോകാം.
Amen. Indeed, let us place all our hope and every expectation in God alone. When we place our hope in ourselves, when we expect something from ourselves, we find failure, we find rejection, we find depression. But when we place our hope and trust in God, that is when we find true joy and true happiness. Thank you, Bobby Thomas, for that wonderful thought on Sneha Sandesham. Well, RJ Liz, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Bob.
Well, how did our game segment go yesterday? I think we have a lot of answers coming in.
A lot of right answers, actually. Yes.
Excellent.
So let's go to today's game. Guess the code, or as Bob put it, crack the code. Day 3. Okay. If you're listening for the first time, let me explain the game in a nutshell. I will be asking some questions, and the first alphabet of each of these answers will form the code word. Remember, the order of the questions will be in the same order as the code word, and it will not be jumbled up. Okay, Bob, so could you help me with yesterday's questions?
All right.
All right, listeners, do help him out as well.
Yes, listeners, help me out like yesterday.
Okay, first question. He was the eldest son of Jacob. Who was he?
He was the eldest son of Jacob, Reuben.
Right, so keep R in mind. Second question. This king of Judah was the successor of Amaziah.
This king of Judah was the successor of Amaziah. Uzziah.
Right, so keep U in mind. Third one. This disciple doubted Jesus' resurrection until he saw Jesus with his own eyes.
That's Thomas.
Right, so keep T in mind. And the last one. This was Queen Esther's Hebrew name.
Queen Esther's Hebrew name. Now that's a good one. Hadassah.
Right, so you have a lot of listeners helping you out.
Yay, I got everything right. Thank you, listeners.
So if you put them together, what's the code word?
Well, we've got RUTH.
Right.
Ruth.
Ruth,
Yeah.
exactly. Okay, so let's go to today's questions. I hope all the listeners are ready.
All right, let's crack this code.
Okay, first question. He is the great grandson of Boaz. He is the great grandson of Boaz. Second one, she is one of Naomi's daughter-in-law. She is one of Naomi's daughter-in-law. Third one, this queen was banished from the kingdom of Persia for refusing to appear at the king's banquet. This queen was banished from the kingdom of Persia for refusing to appear at the king's banquet. And the fourth and final question, this is one of Joseph's sons. This is one of Joseph's sons. So I hope you got all the questions down, and it will also be posted on the chat box for reference and also on our Facebook page. So please check it out, and if you know the right answer, do send it to us on our email bobsradio21.37@gmail.com, or you can WhatsApp us on +91 906 181 7307. So see you all tomorrow to crack the fourth code.
All right. Thank you, listeners, for sending those answers and for helping me out. And let's get cracking for the next one as well. Well, thank you so much, RJ Liz.
Thank you, Bob.
Let's go to our second song for today. And the song says, in the eye of the storm, you remain in control. In the middle of the war, you guard my soul. You alone are the anchor when my sails are torn. Your love surrounds me in the eye of the storm.
When the test comes in and the doctor says I've only got a few months left, it's like a bitter pill I'm swallowing. I can barely take a breath. And when addiction steals my baby girl and there's nothing I can do, my only hope is to trust you. I trust you, Lord. In the eye of the storm, you remain in control. In the middle of the war, you guard my soul. You alone are the anchor when my sails are torn. Your love surrounds me. In the eye of the storm, you remain in control. In the middle of the war, you guard my soul. You alone are the anchor when my sails are torn. Your love surrounds me. In the eye of the storm. Oh, in the eye of...
In the eye of the storm, you remain in control. What a beautiful song that gives us great hope and strength in God. Well, now let's bring our doctor on air. Indeed, we have Dr. John Abraham from Trivandrum. He studied in CMC Vellore and he's currently working at a community health center in Trivandrum. He's actively involved in COVID-related activities since the very beginning of this pandemic. In fact, he was in charge of the largest first-line treatment center at Greenfield Stadium, Trivandrum. Let's bring Dr. John Abraham on air.
Hi, Bob.
Bob's Radio 21.37. Keep bobbing along.
Hi, Doctor. Thank you so much for joining us once again on Bob's Radio.
Yeah, Bob, it's always a pleasure to be with you and to hear all the quiz and the children's programs and everything, new additions being added on daily.
Yeah, thank you so much. I know you have a very, very busy schedule, especially with all that is happening, in India and in Kerala at the moment. Thank you so much for joining us. Let me begin by asking, what are our numbers looking like, our COVID numbers?
You look at today's statistics, it's around 30,000 in Kerala today. The cases are rising. The TPR is increasing to around 19 today. But the cases all over in India, it's still below 50,000. That's what they're saying. And it is showing a little bit of a herd immunity has started off in various states, but Kerala is lagging behind.
I mean, it's indeed a mystery because Kerala had a pretty good hold of the whole pandemic situation at the beginning, but then I think due to many reasons, we kind of let it go, or I really don't know what happened, but now the numbers are trending in the opposite direction.
Yeah, I know that's how people would view it, but
Yeah.
from the health standpoint of it, and we would say that yes, the numbers look high, but the fact is these are like structured numbers, we would say.
Okay.
In the
Okay.
sense, like if you look at it, there was never a condition in Kerala in which there was lack of oxygen. There was a lack of beds, lack of ICU beds. There was never a state like that.
True. Very
As you
true.
see all over the India, or even in some developed countries, we were seeing some things like that.
Very
So
true, very
it was in a staged manner, the rise has taken place. So we had always adequate stocks of maybe you call it beds, maybe you call it of health personnel, you call it all in that sense. When you look at it in that sense, yes, numbers are high, but we never ran out of beds, if you can
Okay.
understand what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, perfectly.
so-
I think the Delta variant has really hit us hard, and looking at everything, I think we are still doing a pretty good job. Yeah.
Yes, in the sense like still maybe in the recent Zero survey was saying something like 44% for the Keralites, while maybe in UP, maybe in Bihar, some other Delhi and all, maybe it's showing above 60. So the trend, that's because at a particular time, there was a sudden surge which happened in various places which could not be managed. And many went undetected. But in Kerala, there's a robust technique in testing. And another thing which we need to understand now, a lot of doctors have become very aware of the symptoms, of the signs which we should look for. So so what has happened even in today's OP, we were seeing cases and we were referring each and every case we see having a tendency, symptomatic wise, we send them for testing and they come out positive. So if you look at it, we are actually now testing cases who can be, or rather who should be positive. So in that sense, like 10 cases we sent, we expect all the 10 to be positive.
Absolutely.
But we come back with around 7 or 8 or something like that, 6 or something like that. But if we had tested the whole population as such in that particular area, yes, maybe the TPR would have been very low. But the fact is now there's a lot of testing taking place. We are even testing some of the shop owners, maybe once in every 15 to 20 days. Their noses will be looking like tunnels now. So, so I think people are just keeping away from testing also when they know they don't have an issue.
Oh my goodness,
That is another reason.
I've gone through the. Oh my goodness, it's really you'll do anything to avoid that stick going up your nose.
Exactly.
It's been a long time since the lockdowns, multiple lockdowns, and it's happening for we expected it to end, but then because of the situations, the lockdowns are just going on indefinitely. Now, one of the things, doctor, that we've noticed is this is having a big impact, especially on children. Now, as a parent myself, and you also a parent, a father of young little children, and we see so many parents and mothers and fathers who are so worried about, their children and how this lockdown has impacted them.
Yeah, definitely, Bob. That's a very, very crucial issue which you've just touched upon. Initially, it was all talking of how can we educate our children? How can we make sure that they're not missing out on education? But the fact is, because everything became online, they started getting a lot of access to gadgets. So now the gadgets, I think you had sessions on all those things. But just I would like to mention 2-3 facts there. Like because of the easy, like in Kerala, in India right now, Geo network is very easily available. All the data plans have become damn cheap. So because of that, what has happened is just to the fingertip, you have all access to the whole world, whatever, be it entertainment, be it pornography, be it games, be it anything you look for. So because of that, the children at a lower age, like what children used to watch maybe at 15 or 16 because of the curiosity of friends talking about it, now they're self-discovering these harmful websites, harmful games by around 8, 9 itself. Even I know children who put their age wrongly as 13 or 14 so that they can play adult-oriented games.
Can play games, yeah.
Okay, so things, they know what to do. So that is just one aspect of it we are talking. But again, looking at the exercise aspect of it. Many of the children are just sitting with their gadgets, They have put on a lot of weight. There's no exercise. There's no going out. There are no outdoor games. So all that itself. And of course, the fact of social isolation. They are not allowed to talk with people. We say, don't talk to strangers. We take, no, keep a social distance. We are like so cautious and protective of our children. In the end, what is happening is they themselves are totally confused in the sense, like, what are we supposed to do, sort of. And there's a lot of loneliness, depression, suicidal tendencies, abuse itself taking place within homes because they are not going out. Maybe an uncle, maybe things which we cannot even talk about here in a Bob's radio. Those things are happening, and we are coming across situations like that.
Yeah, I mean, this is really sad, and that the impact it has had on little children. I mean, it's so painful, to see children going through these, especially at a very young age. Now, also on the other side of it, we have children who are also showing COVID symptoms. Now, doctor, can you tell us something about that? What are the symptoms of COVID in children?
Yeah, thank you, Bob. The problem with this COVID with children is they go totally, most of them, around 90%, more than the adult population are totally asymptomatic. So they are usually supposed to be the carriers. They bring it to the home when they go out and play and come back, and they give it to their grandparents, and they become really sick. Now, when you look at it, yes, most of them, as I told, are asymptomatic, but definitely they will have other symptoms, like maybe children become very irritable in the sense like they don't want to eat anything. The reason just maybe that they don't have taste, they don't have smell, and so they don't want to eat. Maybe that's the only symptom which they're going to show. So on the other hand, there might be children who have definitely a little bit of fever here and there, maybe one small spike here and there. Then yes, definitely a cough, a cold, nasal block, rhinitis, sneezing, things like that, small things. And of course, some children present with loose motion and abdominal pain and things like that. So that also we find in children.
Okay, and is there a treatment path when it comes to children? Do we follow the same steps that we take for older people, or is it different in children?
Yeah, Bob, that's the same. I mean, there's no difference in treatment for children or anything. As I told, most of them are asymptomatic. And whatever symptoms they have, they just go off just like that. So,
and what about and what about vaccines? Can we take vaccine? Can we give vaccines to children as well?
See how the question of protecting our children is, one is teaching them how to protect themselves. One is we talk about wearing masks. How do you wear a proper mask? You teach the children that. And then you teach the children like sneezing etiquette. Even 2-year-old children can be taught that when you sneeze, you are supposed to sneeze onto your elbows. And then wearing a mask properly, covering the nose and the mouth, and making sure you don't touch the front part of the mask. You teach these things. That itself is, I would say, the greatest vaccine you can give to your children. That is teaching them to wear a proper mask. One. Second thing, very important, washing hands. Whenever you go outside and when you come back in, wash your hands. And when you're playing with your friends, don't touch your nose. So these are things which you can slowly educate your children, keep talking to your children. They're going through a very rough time. I always say children should go to school, have fights with other children, and then they should know how to resolve those fights. They should know how to handle those situations, difficult situations. But now they're totally protected. They don't have fights at all. Even if they have fights at home, which are very bad. So, and because parents are frustrated, because parents don't know how to handle. Children don't know what to do. They don't know how to occupy time. So a lot of issues like that are taking place. So yes, I wanted to stress on this part first before we go into vaccines. So vaccine development is taking place. You might see on the news and things like that. A lot of new vaccines are coming in. Many people, like including Pfizer, are trying to do trials on children. But the good news to India, we would say, is Psychov-D, a vaccine which is actually a needleless vaccine, is coming out maybe during late October or something like that for children between the age of 12 to 17 years. And definitely it is by Sidus Cadila. So definitely that would be given to children who are in the high risk group, like diabetes, kidney problems, cancer, and things like that. Those children will be first getting it.
Is it single shot?
No,
or,
it is not a single shot. Good you asked. It's actually a 3-shot vaccine. Like you give it on the day 0, day 28, and day 56. That's how you're going to do that. So it's a 3-dose one, but the fact is it's needleless. So there's no pain which is associated with that. And very, even in the studies, they have brought out very few interactions, few side effects and things like that. So that is going on. Psychop-D has got the emergency use authorization in India. Another vaccine is Covaxin. From the age of 2 years to 15 years, they're doing trials on that. And we are expecting results and positive results definitely, which are going to come out. Because if you remember, Bob, when I came the last time, I think I had told we are not giving vaccination for lactating mothers and maybe even to pregnant ladies. But now the scenario has changed. We are encouraging them to get vaccinated. All age group, all maybe first trimester, second trimester, third trimester, everything, get vaccinated, even lactating, it is fine. Because initially we were all wary in thinking that, yes, we don't know what's going to happen. Is vaccine safe or not? What would happen? That thinking was predominant in us. So that is why we were saying, no, let's wait. Now we have found that is safe in that group. Now we are hoping and expecting that we will know that this is safe in the children's too. So yes, vaccines are on the way. Many countries are doing studies on it. And definitely India can see a vaccination starting off for children maybe in early, maybe February or March in 2022, maybe during the first quarter itself, we might see it in full swing.
That is wonderful news. Indeed, that is amazing news, Doctor. That brings to my mind some of the there's always two sides to the argument, and there are a lot of, even now there are a lot of vaccine skeptics out there.
Yes.
Those who talk against vaccination. Recently, there was a young doctor, and she was saying that in fact her dad is not vaccinated, and when we found out the reason for it, seems that she told her dad that it's not scientific. There's not enough scientific proof to show that it is working, or it will not have any harmful effects. So there are still people who talk and who who have these views. I mean, what do you say to those? People?
What I would say is so there's a lot of death audits which takes place in Kerala and various places. So I've talked with a few of the experts in that field. And so one of the things which I've really found out are, if you're fully vaccinated, the fact of the matter is the severity of the illness, if you get it at all, is very low. And even the mortality, the death taking place after a vaccination, fully vaccinated person, is almost nil, maybe rare, very rare cases. Maybe because they have a kidney problem underlying, or a diabetic or something like that. So we have found, to tell the fact, one thing we can say without a doubt is, yes, definitely there is a good result in the fact that we are not saying that you won't get it. You might get it, but the severity of it is, recently I had a cohort of 9 people ranging from 40-year-old to around 85-year-old. The 80-year-old person was actually fully vaccinated with Covishield. And we found that he was perfectly symptomless. He was positive, but he was perfectly all right. But on the other hand, a few young Turks, 40, 43, 45, 50-year-olds who were not vaccinated, developed having serious problems. They were perfectly healthy individuals, but they developed this, and they had a lot of issues. They had to be admitted in the ICU, admitted in a lot of things. Some of them are going through problems. So yes, I would say from my experience, what we have seen here is the severity is very low. The mortality is almost, we can say, very low, very, very low. Okay. So definitely go for it, whatever comes your way.
Wonderful. Doctor, thank you so much. There are so many things that we want to talk to you. Let's keep this discussion going. But before that, let's listen to this Malayalam song. And once we listen to it, I'll tell you a surprise post this song. Let's go and listen to this wonderful Malayalam song.
ഈ പരിജ്ഞാനം ആശ്ചര്യദായകമേ അറിയുന്നു ശോധന ചെയ്തെന്നെ നാഥൻ ഈ പരിജ്ഞാനം നാഥൻ ഈ പരിജ്ഞാനം. ഇരിക്കുന്നതും ഞാൻ എഴുന്നേൽക്കുവതും കർത്താവ് കാണുന്നു. ഗ്രഹിക്കുന്നു കർത്തനൻ ഹൃദയ നിരൂപണം. ഓ ദൂരത്തു നിന്നു തന്നെ ഇതത്ഭുതം, ദൂരത്തു നിന്നു തന്നെ ഇതത്ഭുതം ഈ പരിജ്ഞാനം. സ്വർഗീയ
Well, some of you would have guessed the voice of the singer. This is none other than Kutti Achin, the voice of Kutti Achin. I already have a listener telling me, let us bring Kutti Achin on Bob's radio. Well, dear listeners, we have that wonderful opportunity tomorrow. So, in fact, tomorrow on our Talking Thursdays, on our Talent Thursdays, we have the gifted, wonderful Malayalam gospel singer Kutti Achin joining us. So, do share it with others and please do tune in tomorrow as well. Now let's come back to Dr. John Abraham. Dr. John, we spoke about the symptoms of COVID in children, vaccines, mental health issues that can arise from that. Now, can you also talk to us about the post-COVID issues that we see in children?
Yeah, Bob, thank you for asking that, because I was thinking, oh, did I miss talking on that? Because that is actually something I think parents should be aware of. Because I was telling children it's asymptomatic, but there is a problem here, because we have seen now cases which come with abdominal pain, like appendicitis pain, and acute pain with diarrhea, vomiting, and things like that, which come up, and a lot of investigations go around, and maybe some even have rashes on their body with fever, maybe even cardiac issues coming in. And so what we found out that actually the doctors have found that something known as multi-system inflammatory syndrome in children. That is MIS-C is what we call it. MIS-C, that is in children. That's a very serious condition, which needs to be treated for a long time. We have to give immunoglobulins, long-term steroids, aspirin. The children, that's what, when we find out they were never positive, we will say that they didn't show any signs, but the fact is maybe one of their family members was positive, and this guy was an asymptomatic person. We find that a few of his friends were positive and he was not detected positive, but the fact is he was actually positive. How do we find it? We do an antibody test and we find out that yes, that he was actually positive. We find the values high. So this is in retrospect, might even happen within around 3 to 4 weeks after the initial COVID, when everything is gone, all family members are praising God and saying hallelujah and things like that, everything, we have finished off everything with it. And then at 3 weeks, 4 weeks, we find the children getting affected. So it's nothing to, this is not just for the awareness of parents, that if your children is presenting with maybe abdominal pain, maybe with loose motion, with some fever and rash, please get the child checked up. Don't just disregard it. Maybe it is a post-COVID sequelae which your child is actually showing, and then definitely you need treatment at an initial early phase itself, and definitely you need to rule out dengue, various other problems also. But this is something to be aware of, that there is a lot of cases which come across, but most of them, luckily, I would say by God's grace, in Kerala right now are very mild cases of this, which are being easily managed, but being seen by the pediatrician. The CRP levels will be very high. When we do the blood test, the ESR and the platelet will be low, and then we find features like that. We doubt whether it is Kawasaki's, we doubt whether it is dengue syndrome, things like that. We have doubts, but just for the information of the listeners, there's something like that. So please be aware of it in children. And definitely post-COVID, there can be respiratory problems in adults, even in children, coughing problems, tiredness, extreme tiredness, then leg pains we see. and sleep disorders. So things like that are persisting for around 3 to 4 weeks, sometimes even extending till around 3 months. So a long-term follow-up is needed. We even have patients who are totally asymptomatic but positive, and by around 18 to 20 days they develop severe breathlessness. So there are issues like that. So be watchful, take it one day at a time, and have a good rest. Take your proper medications, treat yourself symptomatically, contact your local doctor, get things done. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doctor. Now, as we always, it's wonderful, always a joy to have you with us on our Wellness Wednesdays. Before we say goodbye, is there any final word that you would love to tell our listeners?
Yeah, sure. I was just going through Psalms 91, and there the last 3 verses there. It really strikes us. He says, "He shall call upon me and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. With long life, I will satisfy him and show him my salvation." What matters most is our relationship with God. Through COVID, without COVID, post-COVID, our relationship with God, our trust in him should never be shaken in the midst of all these things. As somebody has told, yes, tough times don't last, tough people do. Trusting God will happen and will help you through these tough times. Thank you so much, Bob.
Thank you so much, doctors like you, healthcare professionals like you. In fact, you are the toughest people out there, and a big salute to all that you have been doing, serving the community, and for being such an important man out there, an inspiration to many people. Thank you so much for coming on Bob's Radio once again.
Thank you, Bob. It's always a team effort, lot of prayer backing from a lot of people all around the world, for all the doctors. Many of you are remembering the doctors, the staff, the health team, the support team, everything. So a big thank you from representing maybe the healthcare team as such, the psychologists, the psychiatrists. They're all going to, recently one of my psychiatrist friends who were working, they got 10 lakh calls in the midst of these COVID times from children and adults, and they were treating all these people through telephones and teleconferences and things like that. So definitely it's a whole team effort which is going behind all this. Please do continue remembering the health team, and thank you for all your support and encouragement. Thank you, Bob.
Dear
Thank you, Bob. It's
listeners,
always a pleasure.
let us continue to remember the doctors, healthcare professionals, psychologists, psychiatrists, and all these wonderful people who are serving the community and working tirelessly, in fact, hours and hours, to make sure that people are safe and their healing is happening. Well, once again, thank you for joining me on Bob's Radio. I hope you will tune in tomorrow to listen to our wonderful singer Kutiyachin. So this is me signing out. Goodbye, good night, and God be with you.